Okay, welcome to our shir Parshas Eikev, Tafshin Pei Aleph, and Moshe Rabbeinu continues to go through their journey in Klal Yisrael. He begins to say certain mitzvahs, and we'll talk about one pasuk. But before we do, I'd like to comment something we said last week. We talked last week about the inyan of the masks and how the masks sometimes separate us from each other, and sometimes we use it as a mashal for the Hester part of the Rebbeinu Shalom. And I was thinking, I had occasion to say Pirkei Avos here last week, and the Mishnah, the first Mishnah in Per Gimel, starts out by saying, "Istakel b'shloishav devar b'yat haba l'idei avera." Look at three things carefully, istakel, and you won't come to avera. Do mi'ayin bas, lo na tohaylech, v'nei mi asad litin dim v'cheshbon. Where you came, where you're going, and who you're going to give din v'cheshbon. And then the Mishnah spells it out. Mi'ayin bas mitipas rucha, lo na tohaylech l'makam afrima v'saleya. Livnei mi'at asad litin din v'cheshbon, livnei melech malchi amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it tells us three things: where you're coming from, mitipas rucha, you're going, malchim afrima v'saleya, and you're going to come from the Rebbeinu. So the kasha is like, we understand the first two, that Rekabi ben Mahalalel has to, it's a Tana is telling us something, and it's the first mission of the parak. It's telling us something profound. So we understand that he's telling us where you're coming from, where you're going to, because it's not something that people like to think about. Most of us, at least. So therefore, he had to say, "Stakel, think about it. It'll keep you from Aveira." But what do you mean, Stakel, looking, you're coming in front of Hashem? We all know we're coming in front of Hashem. So Pshat is that it means that, when you do an Aveira, you don't like to think about it. When you're doing an Aveira, you try and not think about HaKadosh Baruch Hu's rolling and watching. You're sort of hoping if you close the door, nobody will notice, and the Rebbeinu Shalom won't notice, chas v'shalom. Of course, you know it's not true, but that's it. That's the way people are. So he says, take a look where they're coming in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Think about it. Don't just put it out of your mind. That's the Pshat. But I was thinking, based upon what we said last week, and we gave him a mashal that Hester Ponim, Hanaychi Hester Ponai, is Hashem sometimes puts on a mask, and you can't see the Rebbeinu Shalom. Sometimes it's Pashtis we don't see in the world. There's things that happen that are inexplicable, and we can't understand it. And we say, is the Rebbeinu Shalom? Like Klal Yisrael said, is the Rebbeinu Shalom? So therefore, I was thinking that that's what a Kavi Manal's Chiddush is. Take a look. You're going to come in front of Kadosh Baruch Hu. You don't see him now. There's Hester Ponim. Don't think he's not there. Don't think he's not there. If you ever walked into a store, and the storekeeper's in the back, so you don't think, there's no storekeeper, I can chas v'shalom take things that don't belong to me. No, there's a storekeeper who's about to walk out into the front. So a person's careful. So the same thing, the Kadosh Baruch Hu, you may not see him, but he's in the back of the store, he's watching. So that's what Kavi Mal says. Look behind the mask. He's stakel. You have to look closely sometimes to see the Rebbeinu Shalom, because the Rebbeinu Shalom is not always apparently there. Sometimes he makes us look for it. So that's just a little extra machshava to be attached to last week's shir. In this week, we have a pasuk, Parshas pasuk Aleph. It says, "Kol ha-mitzvah, every mitzvah asher anoichi mitzabecha hayom, that I command you today, lasais, leman tichya, so you shall live, urvisum uvasum v'yishtem aretz." You're going to come into the land. So the kasha, the son of Glinsky Sefer says, "Kol ha-mitzvah asher anoichi mitzabecha hayom, I'm doing to you, lasais, leman tichya." But then it says, it uses a lashon of Rabbim. We end up with a lashon of Rabbim. And so the question is, why do we start with a lashon of Yachid, and why do we end with a lashon of Rabbim? What's the inyan of the lashon Yachid? So he says a delicious story. His mom is a funny story. A mashal, he said he heard it once from a traveling Maggid. To explain this inyan, Tishrun Lasos, that you, plural, should watch. But we say it as individual. Hashem, the pasuk is talking to every individual. It says like this. There was a simple storekeeper. And the storekeeper came to the Rav, and he says, listen, Rabbi, I'm not a Talmid Chacham, but I want to be kind of Olam Haba. I want to be a good Jew. Teach me how to go forward in life, be a good Yid, and make a difference, so I can be Zayich to Olam Haba. So the Rav says, okay, I'll tell you. He says, listen, you should take every mitzvah. It's the only mitzvah that you have. No other mitzvahs. That's your mitzvah. One mitzvah. And you should realize that there's only one person in the world that counts. That's you. And you should realize that there's only one day. It's only today. There's nothing else. So he says, thank you, Rabbi. Oh, I'm going to go. And he starts to run out. And the Rav says, whoa, no, wait. I didn't explain it. He says, I don't need to explain. I understand it. I'm good. And he runs away. So the Rav says, he already knew his customer over here. So he comes home and he goes to his store. And first he goes to a store, and he goes to the store. He sold shmatas, sold a clothing store. And an Elta Yid comes into the store and buys something. And he gives him, it was $2, or 2 zlotas, or kopecks, or rubles, or whatever it is in the story. He gives him 2, and it costs 2, and he gives him 3 by mistake. He's an Elta Yid, he didn't notice. He gave him 3 instead of 2. So he noticed it, the storekeeper, our friend, the storekeeper, and he noticed, but he didn't say anything. He kept the $3. He goes home, and his wife serves him lunch, and she says, "Okay, go wash, go wash the tilas yadayim, and you'll come." And he says, "No, that's not necessary anymore. I'm just going to eat." And like her eyes widen, she goes, "What? What's that mean?" So he says, "Well, I was to the Rav today, and the Rav told me that you only have to do one mitzvah." He said, "There's one mitzvah." And I did my mitzvah for today. He said, I did my mitzvah. I wore tefillin already. I even put on tzitzis. I'm like a real tzaddik. I don't have to wash the tilas yadayim. And she's going, have you lost your mind? What's going on here? In the meantime, there's a knock on the door. And who is it? This older man that made the mistake and gave him $3 instead of $2. So his wife comes to her and she says, "What would you like?" She says, "Well, I bought from your husband, a garment today. Bought some clothes, and by mistake, I gave him $3 instead of $2. I want to get my money back." So she goes to her husband. She says, he says he made a mistake. Is it true? He goes, "Yeah." So he says, "So give him the $1 back." He says, "Why should I? The Rav told me that I'm the only person in the world. I don't have to worry about anything." So she's like really upset. I mean, your husband gone off the rails. What's going on over here? So they say, "That's it." And she says, "I'm taking you to the Rav. We got to find out what this is all about." And the old man's standing there, and he says, "I'm coming along. I want to go to the Rav too." So they walk in to the Rav, and the wife tells him he doesn't wash the tilas yadayim because he said you only has to do one mitzvah. And the older man says he stiffed me because he said nobody else counts. And they said he only doesn't have to do any more mitzvahs for the rest of eternity because only today you have to do mitzvahs. He doesn't have to do mitzvahs. What is going on? What did you tell him? So the Rav starts laughing. He says, he's probably thinking this guy's got nothing in the million for taking things a little too literally. So he says, "Let me tell you what I meant. I didn't mean that at all. What I meant to say is that when the mitzvah comes to your hands, there's 613 mitzvahs. So I would say, I won't do this one. I got plenty to go. I'll do 600. I'll do some of the other mitzvahs. I won't do this one." So he says, "No. Every mitzvah that comes to your hand, you got to look like it is the mitzvah. It doesn't mean you don't have other mitzvahs, but it means don't think that you only have to do one. Don't push it off. Don't procrastinate and say, I'll do another mitzvah tomorrow. I'm tired. I don't have to go to shul today. I'm tired. I'll goof off and I'll go tomorrow. Nah. When the mitzvah comes to your hands, that's the only think that your life depends on this particular mitzvah. And when I said that you're the only one, what I meant to say is that you shouldn't say the same thing. A poor man comes to your door, right? And he says, give me money. You say, well, there's other people can give you money. There's other people can help you. Right? Nebuch, the poor man can go from one house to the next till he starved from hunger, because everybody's pushing to the next guy. So I said, no, you can't be like that. You have to be as if you're the only one to take care of the mitzvah. Nobody else can take care of the mitzvah. And he says, when I said that it should be the only day, what I meant was the same thing. You'll say, if I don't do it to mitzvah today, I'll do it tomorrow. If I don't put on film today, I'll put on film tomorrow. This is a very dangerous attitude. So I told you, don't have that attitude. Treat every day as if that's the only day. The Welt sagt der Wertel that you'll never be as young as you are today. That's it. No matter what age you are, whether you're 2 years or 102, this is the youngest you'll ever be the rest of your life. So that's what I was telling him. I was saying you have to treat every mitzvah as if it is the only mitzvah. And you have to treat everything as you're the only person who can do it. And you have to treat every day if it's the only day you can do it. That's what I meant. And that's our pasuk. And that's why it's B'loshen Yochid. It says, Kol ha-mitzvah asher anoichi mitzavecha. That I'm commanding you. Kol ha-mitzvah, every mitzvah, treat that mitzvah, it's the only mitzvah. That asher anoichi mitzavecha, I'm commanding you, you're the only person who can do the mitzvah. And what does it say? Hayayim. Today. This is the only day. Look at every day. And this really answers a kasha from the whole everywhere, because you always find it saying Hayayim. What does it mean Hayayim? Why is it all telling us Hayayim? Because today, you got to look at it. Today's the day. So 3 things. Kol ha-mitzvah, every mitzvah has to be, that's it, focused. Mitzavecha, I'm telling you, and you're the only one who can do it. Hayayim, and today is the only day that you can do it. And he ends the Dvar Torah with a beautiful story that shows how we have to go through life. It says the city of Petach Tikva, right near Bnei Brak, is known for having very large shetach. It has large boundaries, very big. And there's a story behind it. It says that the city of Petach Tikva was started by the Asar of Mibris, the Maral Diskin. And the way it was an interesting story. There was a Yid by the name of Yehuda Stampfer. And he was the one who was in charge of buying it from the Arab who owned the city. And the person told him, I'll sell you what you can walk in one day. And so he's walking along with the sellers on a horse next to him. And people came over to say hello to him. He didn't barely hello, just, because every step he walked bought more land for the Yidden, for Eretz Yisrael. So the man said, let's take lunch break. Lunch break? I don't have time to eat lunch. No lunch. And he says, and he was an older man at the time, and he was exhausted, and he was so tired, but he knew every step meant forever. And when he got toward the Shkia, the sun started to go down, he started to run, because he wanted to buy it. He understood that he had to look at this mitzvah. He's the only one who can do it, and today is the only way you could do it. And he says that's why Pesach Tikva has wide boundaries and is a big city, because of this Mesiras Nefesh. He says that we learned such a powerful lesson. I'm probably the procrastinator in chief, like everyone else. We all have a tendency to procrastinate. We all have a tendency to say, "Ver b'ner," give it to somebody else. I don't need to be the person to do the mitzvah. Okay, there's other mitzvahs I'll do. It's so true. It rings so true into the psychology of a person, that these are the 3 challenges. The challenge to be able to focus on the mitzvah, focus on the person, and focus on the day. If we can manage to do all of that, then we will be able to get to where we need to be somebody that we say at the beginning, V'hoya Eikev Tishmun, and the Meforshim say, V'hoya Ein V'hoya Lashon Simcha. V'hoya Eikev Tishmun, Rashi says, these are Mitzvah Adam Dosh Bakaviv. V'hoya, we should be happy, we should be joyous, we should be thrilled. V'hoya Simcha, that Kodesh Baruch Hu gives us the kayach and the ability and the gzund and the peace of mind to be able to do even the littlest mitzvahs. When we're able to do those mitzvahs, Baruch Hashem, there are many people who would be very jealous of those who are able to do the smallest mitzvahs, because not everybody can for many, many, many reasons. So V'hoya Eikev Tishmun, let's be happy, and we're happy to do the mitzvahs. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will reward us with all of the good things that are promised in these sedras and the sedras beyond. Have a wonderful Shabbos.